Mr. Moderator, I will try not to get anywhere near the order of the day in terms of the time. Carl Robbins, teaching elder, Calvary Presbytery. I would speak in favor of the overtures from your committee of commissioners, which was adopted by a 70% vote yesterday morning by that body. This is Overture 3 in your commissioner's handbook, which originated from PD Presbytery, and that overture was sent up by a unanimous vote of that presbytery. And I'd like to briefly state 4 reasons that we are urging the Assembly to withdraw from the NAE immediately. The first is a misplaced ecumenism. We delight in our affiliation with NAPARC. We're thankful for those 16 other denominations we have in almost all cases an identical confession and practice, but we don't find we have the same connection with the 39 denominations in the NAE. Let me just read some of these names to you. The Foursquare Church, founded by Amy Semple McPherson. Vineyard. The Pentecostal Free Will Baptist Church. The Seventh-day Baptist Church. The International Pentecostal Church of Christ. You've probably never heard of those that I just named. Many of these have aberrant views on creation, fall, justification, sanctification, continuing revelation, women in office, worship in the Lord's Day, and much more. One argument has been made that if we leave the NAE, the only vehicle we would then have for ecumenicity is NAPARC and the World Reformed Fellowship. But there are other wonderful options, such as the ICRC, the International Council of Reformed Churches, a gathering which would be greatly enriched by our presence. 34 denominations, from the ARP, OPC, and URCNA to Reformed denominations in the Congo, Sudan, South Africa, Ireland, Korea, Brazil, Spain, and more. If we were to join with the ICRC, we would not be the largest church. That rank would be held by the Koshin Church in Korea. But those of us who wish to depart from the NAE have no problem fellowshipping with Christians who are not like-minded. We all do that in our communities around things like crisis pregnancy centers and Christian schools and mercy ministries. But what we do have a problem with is other churches speaking for us and making pronouncements about everything from, and I'm quoting here from the NAE's page on their website, environmentalism, entertainment, coronavirus, education, predatory lending practices, immigration, voting and election, and much more. We don't want other folks pronouncing for us. A second reason why we would encourage the Assembly to leave the NAE is poor stewardship of finances. When our membership to be a part of the NAE begins with $20,000 plus in terms of our annual dues, and then the meter starts ticking there, going up, all the costs for travel and hotels. And when we think of that compared to NAPARC, our annual dues for NAPARC are $1,000. And so we just have a hard time justifying the stewardship of being in NAE. A third reason, and this really is our core reason why we would urge the Assembly to depart from NAE, is the issue of Christian liberty. We would ask the Assembly to stop binding our consciences and give us freedom. If you and your congregation want to be in the NAE, that is great. The NAE allows for, they invite memberships from congregations. They have very reasonable rates. I sound like a salesman at this point. Your congregation can be a member of the NAE for as little as $100 a year. Schools can be a member of the NAE. Nonprofits can be a member. So anyone who wishes to be a member of the NAE may do so. Your liberty is not being infringed if any of us do not want to be members. You may still freely do so. We all understand the principle of exercising our liberty in who we support. The congregation I serve supports certain organizations, but not others. We support seminaries, colleges, mission agencies, evangelistic groups, campus ministries, and crisis pregnancy centers. But we have never dreamed of trying to bind others' consciences and mandate that they must also support who we support through their funds and identification. And we ask the question, why does Interchurch Relations want to bind our consciences with this parachurch group. There are large numbers of PCA members who want no affiliation with the NAE. Our affiliation with the NAE is usually either a source of confusion or embarrassment to most of us. Please let us out. The fourth reason I would give for leaving immediately is our best ecclesiastical thinkers in the PCA have spoken very clearly on this. I'm very thankful for Fred Greco and David Coffin, who in the last several weeks have put out statements on this. Fred Greco, and I'm quoting them from their own writings. Fred Greco said, the NAE has turned into a political commenting body, making explicit political statements and lobbying for various positions, legislations, and executive action. They've even lobbied for legislation contrary to our standards. Dr. Coffin wrote, the NAE offers the following principal benefits of membership. First, a logo, which gives anyone in the NAE credibility. Dr. Coffin responds, we have sufficient credibility as a visible branch of the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ. Second, the NAE says one of the benefits of membership is a public affirmation of the NAE statement of faith, the gold standard of evangelical belief since 1942. But in the Westminster Confession, we have the gold standard of Reformed belief since 1642. And then Dr. Coffin points out that the other benefit, the principal benefit of membership that the NAE offers is a recognized voice in Washington championing evangelical concerns. Dr. Coffin states, we don't need a voice in Washington championing political concerns that would not even be permitted as a subject of discussion before our courts, let alone adopted as positions. For these reasons, your Committee of Commissioners would urge the Assembly to approve Overture 3 and to allow us to immediately and peacefully withdraw from the NAE. Mr. Moderator.